What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm jamming out to the music in the background because I'm about to be bringing you guys a Cosmonarchy cast. We are going to be doing a bunch of games today that I think are going to be pretty cool, pretty epic. I got some backlog replays submitted to me for my attention, and then I got everything on Replay Kraken and a bunch of older games as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going down here, what's been popping without the tournament focus. So without further ado, it's probably a good time to introduce our first game of the day, or the evening as it is here as I record this. So let's do it. This is a 1 versus 2. We have Ultra 7 and his compatriot, Darky, in the left side of Amara Samala, and Kutyam Supan is off in the other side, playing 1v2. He is our Russian green Terran, while Ultra 7 is going for a very early pool. Not quite a 6 pool, but a very early pool. He is the Japanese Violet Zerg. Whoa!
Please stop, you are destroying my peace and quiet.
And Darky is here as the green Terran. Well, thank you for $5 closer to our epic donor goal of absolutely smashing show match number 7 funding. We are appreciative of that. Oh, wait. I was supposed to shut up. Okay, I'll let the game do the talking. Thanks, Kutyam, for permission to make noise again. I appreciate it. I should have held that until they donated more money to turn me back on. That would have been a funny moment. That would have been good. So we got Chamberlain in the chat. We got Gawit in the chat. What's up, guys? Welcome. That's the new meta. Is, you know, there's this old joke from at least I was introduced. Kutyam's so funny. I was introduced to this meme through Counter-Strike. And there's this old bit where you have people go in for, they wait for the casters to stop talking so that the game can start, and then they get impatient and they say, "Caster, stop talk," because they don't speak good English in Counter-Strike, right? So that's definitely a funny bit that I think is interesting to think about. So caster stop talk and then caster start talk, both donation options. You buy like 1 minute of silence for $5. Then I guess somebody donates $1,000 and I just turn the stream off. But anyway, Kutyam is going to come in here with a vulture. We did see Darky going for a very fast expansion all the way to the upper left. Amara Samala is a map that hasn't actually been played very much, so I'm interested in seeing where this comes from. The Really Rocore is expendable, so totally fine to just let it die there. Oh, he actually makes it back to the Kager. I wasn't expecting that. More vultures are on the way to try to heckle things. There's a Cyprian to help defend, but Darky doesn't seem too fussed about it. Oh, body blocked by the Zetracore. Absolutely annihilated. There was another vulture that came in somewhere. Oh yeah, now he's over here heckling the units. Oh, that Cyprian almost got lobotomy mined. Unfortunately, it looks like this vulture was already softened up by something, so he will not kill the Cyprian. Very, very sad. First vulture harassment, not super good. I like that Ultra 7 went for an early pool to make military units, and Kutyam, Darky rather, went for an expansion very far away, admittedly, but you can go expand first here, and then, you know, make your stockade after, and it's pretty good. So we have the Ministry, the Anchor, we've got a star pad coming online here for Kutyam as he adds more Cyclops to the mix. And his vultures are catching some of these Zerg units moving across, but he has no idea that Zetracores are entering his mineral line. All he has to defend with are Cyclops. Jump back in the chat. What's going on? Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with the Prophet. That's that would be Prophet right there. Go ahead and put the Twitch Gamba on for you guys, since I forgot to do that earlier. I think it's fine. I mean, I don't think this game is going to end anytime soon, that's for sure. Cyclops are going to cause some ruckus in the mineral line as the Zetracores are doing the same thing. Looks like over here, Ultra 7 held on just fine. The drill, the Mason drill, he actually pulls the Cyclops back and lets the workers do the work. Yeah, you know, it is in their name. You would expect that. With the star pad out, I'm guessing we're going to see some kind of wild drop. I haven't really been keeping tabs on Kutyam. I don't know how well he's doing. Maybe we'll cast some of the matches from Weekend Wage I think I missed a couple of the games there. There was Arbiz versus Grass Eater ZVZ at one point. There was Grass Eater versus Lucy that I do want to cast at some point as well. By the way, another Ministry up here for Darky, just slamming out the Masons. And who killed my Vulture on Smiley? Angry on Smiley Face. There's a couple of matches there. Kutiam Zevi I definitely want to cast, so we'll take a look at them. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. We got some Cyclops. We got some... Well, one Vulture. I was going to say some Vultures. Yeah, this is going to be a Cyclops drop. Makes a lot of sense. Oh, does he want to send the Vulture in as well? Interesting. I wonder why he does that. What value does he get from the extra Cyclops? Also, I don't know anything about Darky. He is making an Ogun, which is amazing. I love the Ogun. Excellent. Excellent. Already my new favorite player. He's made a lot of workers. He's made a lot of expansions. Oh, no, the drop! Oh! And you know the worst part about it? Kutiam feels pretty bad about that. But Darky has no idea. He just hasn't paid attention. His camera hasn't moved over here. He might not see that until after the corpses have already desiccated. Well, it looks like Cyclops are going to be the ones to hold this Zerg aggression, and it will be pretty successful. Look at that. Love that. Very, very excellent. Oh, one Zethar. A single Zethar. Oh, he died. There's another drop where that came from, but yeah, these units still have not been moved. Yeah, Darky only now realizing, wait, who left all this rubble in my base? I really love that. That's really good. This is a high quality experience right here. Seeing Ultra 7 and Darky learn the game together. Specifically, it looks like, well, I don't know. Ultra 7 said to me that he was torturing Darky with the game, but playing the 1v2, it's more cooperative, right? I like that. That's more fun. We do have some Fulcrums coming up here for both Terran players, in fact. Obviously, Kutiam has been going mech. He's going to add the Scrapyard for the much-needed Blackjack. Oh, the Palladium as well. Okay, he's going to do both. This is not Juggernaut rules, by the way. We do not have, like, extra resources or whatever for our resident class 3. I don't know how Ultra 7 would fare. I think he seems more like a class 4 material to my eyes so far, but I think he mostly plays Protoss, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see how he responds to this drop, though. The Droleths are getting hit. Yeah, they were... all of the units are kind of getting stuck on each other over here, which is pretty awkward. And now the Masons are going to be pulled away. Darky obviously having the benefit of his ally being attacked, so he knew to pull those back. But both players not right-clicking resources, right? Not right-clicking any minerals or gas for that purpose. So the Masons obviously body block the rest of the units, and then it's so hard to reinforce at that point. But the Trojan will be nudged away. This second drop certainly helping out a little bit for Kutiam's sake. Darky's got a lot of minerals and about as many Vespene in the bank, so that's interesting. But I wouldn't necessarily expect a newer player to be able to spend their money. I'm glad that he's expanding so much. Even though he doesn't have great saturation, he's like capping his ridges and stuff. That's cool. I think he's doing all the things he needs to. Extra base been added. I will return. Yeah, we believe that. I wonder if Kutiam still has fun playing Cosmonarchy after all of these grinding sessions he's done. This definitely seems like he's having fun. Just terrorizing newer players to the game. Having a good time of it. I feel like with the Phalanx coming out, he's definitely going to make a push and shellac the bio in the process. A Palladium and a Vestry being added on. Ogun, what's up, buddy? One Cyclops in that wounded Trojan moving back. And base number 4 for Darky. Taking all the bases, building all the workers. I was thinking about Amada Samala because this was played a little bit by like Jackie Langsky and a few other players. One of the things I was thinking about is how, like, structurally, it is pretty hard for the top player to have a natural. Like, this is kind of supposed to be the natural, and it is by the bridge, so it does help you make connections. But it is still a little bit far. I wonder if having, like, a higher ground base wouldn't just be better. And you, like, pick who gets the high ground base versus who doesn't. And then you could also have this be, like, a ramp, and then the, like, this ground path get removed. So this is more of a dead end, and in order to get out of the map, you have to go a different way. The Ogun is building the Atlas. We'd love to see that. Ooh. A deployed Phalanx drop. We love that. How? That one Cyprian did not like that. Ooh, anvils. Whoa. Oh, no. Jeez. Oh, no. That's so far away. Don't do that. Oh, my God. He's just like, yeah, whatever. This is the new spot. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to be on center. Man, you can imagine. You can visualize the mouse clicks. This phalanx will be grounded here in a moment, and so this Wraith has done its job. Hey, those drillets were mostly not mining, so that's actually pretty helpful. Kutiam is going to be playing Drop City by the look of it. We are... this is funny. He's got a lot of units to drop. You know, they're waiting to be deployed. Finally taking the other main is Kutiam. I think this map only has 1,500 per mineral. Yeah, so they're going to mine out a little bit faster than some of the other maps. And look at that. The Atlas is complete. Just like that. A lot of Nathricors coming out for Ultra 7. He'll have 12 of them pretty soon. No Kalkir Lake, so can't turn them into anything else. But versus what Kutiam has, besides the fact that the Cyclops still exists, it could be pretty useful. Oh, Mass Star Pad. Okay. Is he going to just make nothing but Trojans, though? Because that could be really funny. I did used to do a build back when I mined Vespine where I would go like 8 Stockade, 4 Star Pad, and just make mass drops. Matadors are definitely going to roast some Masons in the process here. And there you go. It looks like 5 Masons and 2 Hurricanes were damaged as a result of that drop, and away goes the Trojan. Yeah, I feel like the way that I'm looking at all of this, it's looking rough, man. It's looking hard for Ultra 7 and Darky, Team Ultrarchy 7, to break what Kutiam has made. They're going to need a lot more than what they currently have. And while they have the resources to do that, especially Darky, I'm not yet convinced. I mean, here come the Nathricors. That's going to slow things down. They can pick the Watchdog and then go after all the workers. So, yeah, at least that'll stop him from just moving across. Although, I guess the ground army that can't shoot up will be probably not arrested by this. Nathricors are really good versus Trojans. Well, Nathricors were not... Unless I missed a drop attack or something. He should just make Valkyries. He can make Valks now. Instead, he's trying to mass make Watchdogs. Yeah, some of them are probably going to get up and help drive back this threat. Yeah, Kutiam's now drowning in all of the enemy attacks that are incoming. I don't know. Honk, says Arbuz Buddha. Here's Tonk. Tonk attack. The Phalanx and then the Tonk. The Phalanx is when it's deployed. The Tonk is when it's not. Oh no! Zethrocker and roll! Zethrocker on a roll with butter and cheese. I can't believe Kutiam has lost so many workers to this Nathricor menace. He's going to go across the map and push with the Phalanxes. What is Darky doing with his tech? He's made 1 starport with a rotary. He's making Madrigal. Okay, I dig it. His bio is coming out. He has made some Phalanx of his own. Kutiam has so many more. Although if those Nathricors come by, there's nothing that will shoot up. Ultra 7 just... He's still making ground units, but Ultra 7 can just... Oh, no. He told him to do that, and then when it happened, it was the bad move. Oh my god, the Cleric friendly fire. I was not predicting that one. That was really good. But yeah, if... Oh, the Aziricors are into the main base. Where did the Nathricors go? Did they all die? And yeah, it looks like they all died right about here. Now we've got only 1 mining base for Kutiam, but his Phalanxes are still a pretty big threat. I'm not entirely convinced this is going to work out for him. He's got some units coming back to try to reinforce. We got Apostles on the way. I'm sure that was already a torturous exchange at some point. All right, the Phalanxes are pretty big in number. We do have a Sundog. Okay, some Sundogs are being made. I mean, listen, hard to counter the Phalanx, harder than Sundogs. Let me be real. Shamans were not brought with the earlier army. That might have helped out a little bit. Oh, here's some more Nathricors. So some of them were killed earlier, but these ones are freshly made, it looks like. 20 of them. Yeah, I think that alone is going to seal the deal. The Madrigals are not deployed into their anti-ground mode. And here come the deployment here. Just going to focus down that Ministry. It will not lift off, so it will be turned to rubble. But behind, like, Kutiam still hasn't set his own house in order here. He's still not mining from his main base, which is depleted. Oh, the Nathacores aren't being used against the Phalanx. They're going to be used against everything that Kutiam has back at home. And unlike Darky, Sir Kutiam has not made anything other than the Cyclops from old that actually does damage to the air unit. So obviously in this situation, it's going to be enough, but he's losing even more Masons. He's down to basically nothing. Scraps. And his Phalanxes did get wiped on the other side by the Sundogs. Almost 10 kills between a piece. And that's a lot of damage. So what is Kutiam going to do now? He's still in a position where it's like playable because Darky's got all the money on the map, but he doesn't have the APM to spend it nor the knowledge really. So while he's not going to be not a threat, what this means is that it's not the end of the world for Kutiam. He can still do things here. He still has this mining base. He can lift his other Ministry wherever it went. Okay, landed it inside the other main. I would just transfer all my Masons over there because this is the base that isn't depleted. Re-expanding here. Looks like the Phalanxes are coming in for Kutiam, but they will be, theoretically anyway, routed by the Sundogs. More of them are being made. I love the Salamander for the armor pen. Not that I think Darky is particularly aware of that. He's actually mass-producing them instead of just having a few for support. So, but listen, it doesn't matter. It's cool. This is a cool-looking unit. Big flood of Vorvricors. Okay. Uh-oh. We have some anti-air. One Sundog has gone down. The Salamanders will be better at this heads-up fight than the Sundogs. But the Ministry will be negated. Kutiam commenting on the Sundog DPS. Here comes the rest of the fight. The Apostles are short-circuited there. Oh, it looks like the Salamanders are now going to be the main front line here. The Apostles are actually helping Darky out a lot. And look at that. Kutiam trying to step forward, but now his Phalanxes are being decollided. If only the Madrigal was deployed, dude. That'd be so good. Another Salamander arrives. Down go the Phalanxes in the back, courtesy of Kutiam's excellent focus targeting. But the Apostles continue and even take one of the Phalanxes that previously belonged. Oh, two of them that previously belonged to Kutiam. And here come the Vorvs. There's a big army here, a big mech army still for Kutiam, and a lot of money in the bank. He could be re-expanding or doing other things. He's just chilling out. He's just having a good time. He has shut down Ultra 7's Natural again. He refused to take this base. You can see he's got plans and aspirations. But, you know, he's busy, dude. He's got other things to do, like attack Goliaths and stuff. Did get some pretty good worker kills, but he has to deal with that. He's got all these units he doesn't use. That's all right. He's microing. He's forgotten that he's under attack on the other side. Another push from Kutiam with just walkers this time around. It's a little bit more difficult for those walkers, though. Oh my god! Dude, the Salamander DPS might not be very high by itself, but the armor end allowed everything else to do way more damage, it feels like. Very nice. Also, something that goes underrated a little bit, but the Apostle does have the Blood Tithe passive, which does give some healing around nearby allies whenever the Apostle attacks. It's something that most people probably don't even know about necessarily unless you've played Terran. Then you can actually see the command card and stuff. Most people, by the time the Apostle comes out, also have Shamans, so they're just like, yeah, the army is healing. They have no idea that it happens. Oh, that's the wounded one that has the deployment. No! The Phalanx dies! Honk! Not a whole lot left for Kutiam. All he's got are Trojans, which almost got reclaimed, which would have been hilarious. Kutiam, my homie. There are sirens in my neighborhood, and I think they might be coming for you. At the very least, he rids himself of the troublesome Zerg, but only for now. 12 Zorius on the way. Oh, no. This base was indeed destroyed. Well, we'll just remake it. It's fine. Circuits. He has taken those other bases. Honestly, I don't think Ultra 7 thought this would happen, and I don't even know if Darky thought this would happen, but Darky's kind of carrying. Forget about the fact that he's got a humongous bank at 6 APM. He's kind of owning. Kutian is having a tough time of it. Daedala on the way for Darky. What else do you need? What else do you want? Tier 3 on the way. Airlifting away from his natural. We'll see what Kutian wants to do next. I'd love to see him take the lower natural. He also hasn't actually saturated the... Oh, I see. Okay. Hey, there's an Ultra 7 Vorv burrowed. I think Kutian is throwing in the towel. This is his surrender. Unless there's something I don't know about what he's planning on doing. Pretty good salvo of the phalanxes, but he could have maybe deployed them a little bit earlier. Can't quite repair with anything that he's got, so he'll have to settle for attempting to disassemble that Madrigal. And Tier 2 just got started for Ultra 7, and that's when the game is going to come to its conclusion. Well, I didn't expect the game to end quite like this. But this is a 2 versus 1. Hey, look, Darky made some Sentinels. Honestly, I hope we get more games out of Darky and Ultra 7. Maybe I can see some 1v1s between them or something. That would be pretty amusing. GG, says Kutian as he concedes the game. XD, XD. Do they... Oh, I see. He lands them. I'm speeding through a little bit. This is the unaliving, as they say on YouTube nowadays, of Kutian. And so giving him his enemies a little opportunity to get some action. Starpad coming in. He's got a Ministry number 3, Stockade. Does he have anything else? A couple Masons. Add-ons he can just detonate, and he cancels that. He doesn't need to detonate the add-ons, though, to be fair. It's just the production structure. It's all right. And there it is, the last GG. The Crows were victorious over the Frog, as the Force name implies. I was not expecting the game to go that way, guys. I'm going to be honest. But that is the way that the game went. So GG's all around. We do have more 2v1s to cast in theory, but it's going to take some time to get to that. So we'll be going through some of the other games that were submitted recently. It looks like there was a match yesterday. That 2v1 was played yesterday as well. There was a match between Newt and Krankendow, so I definitely want to check that one out. Let's go ahead and get ready for that. As soon as I find where in the overlay everything is. All right, I think that should be good enough. So we're going to go to Frosted Forest for this game. We've got Newt in the bottom left, our dark green Terran, taking on Krankendow in the top right, our tea green Zerg. Still sticking around with that green theme, it would seem. It's a festive color. We'll count it. We'll allow it. Newt, of course, no stranger to this map and no stranger to building plenty of bio versus Zerg. We should see some nice aggression out of him. Krankendow on the other side. He had a pretty cool win against Aoud recently that we casted. I hope to see that game. Maybe I'll go ahead and cut that game out and put it on YouTube at some point. It was a pretty cool back and forth match. But most importantly, I think Krankendow's back on the grind and he's playing pretty regularly, and that's pretty epic. I appreciate it. Double Stockade opener, no surprises yet from Newt. And we will probably see Larvosk, well, K-Grimpool, Larvosk, and then a second Larvosk should be coming for Crank. That's his default build. We have the Mason moving across the map of Frosted Forest here to arrive. See what's going on. He's probably seen this build from Crank 100 times, but that doesn't mean that Crank's only build is this, nor does it mean that he doesn't have a bunch of variations that he adds to the mix. And this was submitted by Krankendow with the commentary that included it being a funny game. So, you know, Krankendow is kind of a funny guy. You never know what he means by funny. But it was submitted specifically for cast, and Crank is a pretty reasonable eye for that, I think. Even when he loses games, he often finds them entertaining. So. He's not the dub poster that we have all seen. The 5 Maverick stand vigil. It looks like Newt might be saving up for some kind of switch. His Mason can't build anything back there, so is it a star pad? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. Newt's gonna make Wraiths. Newt saw plus 10 Wraith HP. He's gonna go Wraith. We actually have a Circuit over here, which tells us that Krankendow is a bit more concerned about the potential of a Bio Rush. When he comes out here and he sees the 5 Mavericks, he might start thinking, okay, he's actually left the building already with most of his other army. Maybe he's going to drop me, stuff like that. It's really interesting, the level of mind games that might end up happening. So now I see why this game was submitted already. No matter what happens with these 2 star pads, we are good as gold for this, in my opinion. This should be a very entertaining game. Zorka Shroud on the way. Oh, perfect for Newt. If you go Hydrith, it's a little bit harder, but you can absolutely make Wraiths work off of just the initial push here. Has he actually stuck this Mason? That's what it looks like he was trying to do earlier. Oh, he's gonna... No. He's gonna hold pause the Maverick, and then the Mason will be stuck. So this is his trick to get the magic boxing going. Avaleth will come in for a little bit of a scoutsy and won't see a base, so that will indicate what's going on. I think that's a pretty early scout for him. I don't think he should necessarily cancel the Shroud, but I don't think that the Shroud is very good into what Newt is doing. So, I can certainly say that much. Zeth patrolling outside, Avaleth holding for now. First Wraith is already out. We got a Wraith and an Antseal coming next. Doing the math with the fact that Wraiths do 10 damage, it is 2 times 5, so armor does double reduce on them. This does make it so you need 6 Wraiths to clear the Droleth in one shot. But I think getting to 3 is a good early number, just because you end up with enough to double tap them. The Avaleth scouts everything, though. Krankendow very notorious for making lots of those. So Quas are coming. Or Quas are already here, I suppose. Lakes are coming. And more Droleths on the way. So Krankendow is playing more of his trademark style, which involves a very late expansion. Some would say that's the most consistent way to play. I think there are strengths and weaknesses to it, just like everything else. Down goes the first of the Quas. Same breakpoint of 6 Wraiths required to kill in one volley, by the way. And Newt will have that pretty soon here. Antseal obviously going to be harangued over and over again. But just kind of picking off the extremities. Wraiths can do this in a way that few other units can. That's for sure. Looks like the Mason is pushing forward here. I wonder what for. What is his plan with the Mason? I wonder. He actually sent it back, so we will never know. Up to 5 Wraiths right now. Okay, make it 6. Pulling away from the front lines of it all. He's forced out the Vornath into the Kalkir Lake. Lyrilisks are pretty good at splashing. And we have Cyprians as the expansion comes online for Krankendow. Of course, it's a little bit faster for Newt. Ooh, love the presence of the Antseal for detection. Also, in addition to the shielding, it is multi-purpose after all, but the Lakes will not be exfoliated immediately. And, one Antseal isn't that bad, but when you start stacking them up, you do need some kind of splash damage. Easy. You can see you're trying to really bundle everything together here. He's up to 11. Wraiths doesn't. Yeah, pretty soon he's just going to be able to come in here and spread the damage out. Obviously, the proximity cloaking is one thing the Ovoleth just doesn't care about right now, but pretty soon the Ovoleth itself could be killed. Claws are being made. 1 Calculisk, 1 Lyrilisk is all that's being produced right now for advanced units. The Vespine cost is just a little bit too high, but the natural is up, so in theory, Krankendow will be able to deal with that. Second Anseal now coming out. A lot of Cyprians, a lot of Harakans. I wonder what Krankendow is thinking of the game state here. He's lost a lot of units, including a very important Lakes. I saw him make 3. I don't know where the other 2 even went. I can't see him poking out of any burrow mounds. Maybe he ended up canceling 2 out of 3 when I wasn't looking. Very nice Droleth count, though. That's for sure. Got a pair of Valkyries being made. I wonder what that's for. Is he worried about, a Nath Cloud or something? Maybe he wants to just preemptively take care of the Calculisk, which is also fair. As long as the Valkyries have some cover and the Nathacors aren't just immediately digging into them with no Wraith support, they're pretty good at dealing with the squishy air units that the Zerg are fielding right now. That's one thing that you can't just mass air about, is Terran air as Zerg. Ridge cap coming for Crank on both of his main and natural. Bio move out now, leaving the building. It's obviously not as strong as it would be if it was a full focus, but Newt planning to take a 3rd base. Tells me that he's very much confident in his ability to micro past this position. He's going to set up shop outside of Krankendow's base, as that 3rd Ministry is under construction. More Valkyries being made at this stage. An interesting choice. Wraith's looking to pick what they can. That Kagrin shouldn't be allowed to finish. You can see the control is a little bit harder with the Valkyries in the picture. You can also, the split attempt is very good, actually, from Newt. He keeps a lot of his Wraiths alive for a lot longer. And Krankendow now just getting shellacked onto the ground. Cyprians are spreading all the splash damage, and you can see the Valks dispatched to clear the skies. A very cool timing attack there, but the Zoryus will help turn things around as the Cyprians can't contend with everything. Oh, if they were focused a little bit more on that backline, though, I could see a world where, the Wraiths clean up a house afterwards and have to be cleaned up by the remaining static defense and units coming out. So far, you could say that the army's traded somewhat more efficiently for the Terran, but a lot of his units are wounded. He has no Vestry just yet. It is on the way. His Cyprians are totally wiped, and each one of those is 50 Vespine. He's got a 3rd base up, but not a crazy amount of defense. So it feels like right now, Newt has a chance to take this position and turn it into an advantaged one. Krankendow has a chance to bite back here pretty soon. There's a window of opportunity where the Zerg is just going to run over the Terran if they play their cards right. So the position is kind of weak. I don't love it, but it's a possibility that Newt recovers from this spot. Got anchors being set up over here. I like the double anchor. I wouldn't even, mind building an extra one. Going for a lodestone so you have static detection. I know you got the Anseals here, but there's Lyrilisks out there with the splash damage. Those could be shorter lived than you think. Some of them very wounded, of course. Cyprian, the first victim of Krankendow's move out, and he's going to go ahead and commit onto this 3rd base. Even the double anchor, as good as it may be in some context, is not going to give much. You can tell because Newt just decided to abandon that position. He gave it up, and he just used those anchors and the units within them as opportunity to slow things down. Krankendow getting those Lakes burrowed very close to the choke point. The anchor has some Stim Mavericks firing away as best they can. It looks like the sustained DPS is enough to push Crank away, but listen, bottom line is he ended up catching what he needed to catch there. Denied the 3rd base, made it lift off. Most of the Masons going down. Shaman has been created, so the air stack is back into full stability. And we have been seeing more air units be made this entire time. Wraiths are the next in the picture. Rebuilding the anchors, the bio starting to march across the map, or at the very least to the hill. And those Masons coming back from the bottom right. The Ministry is only now floating back over. A little bit of a mistake there. And one Mason is just left over here and starting to bite and nibble on the third base. Air stack moving into the main. We have more calcs being made. Not a bad shout, but you definitely want like 6 of them maybe. Hey, that's how many he's making. I swear I didn't look at that. Anseal's protecting the Wraiths as they try to disassemble the Spraiths. It's questionable as to whether or not it's working well, but down goes one of them. Trying to ball everything up. If the Valks get a salvo or two off onto those Nats, it's over for the air squad. And the Bio Army now marching upon this third base. This is sort of where Crank's ground army is, which I think is superior to what Newt has, even though Newt's air army is, of course, superior to what Crank has. We don't get to see games quite like this very often. So that's pretty cool. That third base up and running for both players for now. Though Crank has a little bit worse saturation on it, despite having more workers. Hasn't had a chance to rally everything over just yet. A lot more workers just actually came out of the eggs. And in swoop the Calcs. The Huracan's trying to play interference. The Armor End combining with the Lake is doing a ton of damage. The Wraiths are in. They're going to clear out the Spraith and do a lot of damage to the Eco, maybe to the Tech as well. The air gets pulled away, but the ground army isn't done yet. This goes a little bit deeper than Crank maybe thought. His army is going to struggle to clear it, but it looks like it will still occur. Now, the Drolets are going to be descended upon. And the Valks are already here to accept the Calcs. Yeah, that's really awkward there. The air stack from Crank not able to get too much value, and a couple of Cyprians are going to mop up the last of the Zerg before retreating home. The Larvosk's under attack. The Calcs doing what they can, sniping away one Valkyrie, then another. It looks like they were maybe on a move order instead of an attack order. And everything is going to get absolutely obliterated here, pretty much on both sides. Nathakor's lowering the armor of the Valkyrie actually allows the Calculus to do way more damage than you would think. Goodbye, Valkyrie. Goodbye, Wraith. I like the addition of Spraiths to these bases so that he can fight over a space where his air control isn't completely annihilated. Looks like none of the tech was really devastated there. Krankendow has lost a Larvosk, but besides that, it's just workers, which you can remax in 1 or 2 rotations. Compared to Terran, where it takes a lot longer to rebuild. Slow and steady, though. The move out is coming. The ground army still looks pretty good for our Terran player. There's no Lakes to support the Zerg ground army. Calculus not getting their lineup onto the Wraiths, but they're very close to all those Cyprians flashing them, so I understand why he's being a little bit tepid with it. Krankendow is going to have the first 4 of his 8 Lakes that are in production come to the front lines pretty soon. He's not quite borrowing them at the right times, and his Calculusks are under extreme duress right now. There's a good one, borrowed right there, underneath the tree. And I don't know, I mean, the Bio is obviously going to be in a tough spot. There's no detection over here. I think the air squad's basically been eliminated. And I don't know that Newt is necessarily interested in providing much else. Now, that Shaman will provide detection of the Lakes, at the very least. It's come at the cost of some of the units that Newt is besieging with. A Shaman Cyprian as a siege emplacement is a little bit odd, but it's really doable. I promise, guys. This many Cyprians can even deal with Zorius, as you're seeing. A lot more bio coming on through. A lot of Lakes, but they're burrowing right in front of all of those very, very important Cyprians. They double back, and that's going to be a lot harder for the bio to break through. You saw there as well, the Huracans getting rid of all the Zorius armor made it so that the Lakes were not actually protected from the Cyprian splash, so a lot of them took more damage than Krankendow initially thought would happen. And even now, the Cyprian count is getting so out of whack, so crazy. Humongous banks on both sides, more so for Newt than for Crank. The Cyprian count seems to have eclipsed what Crank can deal with. His Zorius count has been reset. His Lakes count is going down. He's going to try to burrow these Lakes as they come out, but they're just a few salvos away from being eliminated. And so as they fall, Krankendow's last bastion in the third is going to be taken out, while the 4th base is starting to thrum for Newt, and he's adding another Ministry in the bottom right. That's a lot of dead Zerg, man. Let's see if he can wrap around. He's using the Shaman as a bit of a springboard further forward, but he hasn't killed it, and the Lakers are still going to be revealed as a result, but this position is so tightly wound on both sides. Splash damage is king, and the Mason even being used to reveal one of the last Lakers. Although Cyprian staying alive, that might have been the last gasp that Crank had in the game. Remember, that was a significant portion of his income. Yeah, I think you can see the writing on the wall. He hemorrhages a few more Lakers in the process. So sad. So sad. Tier 2 has now begun for Newt. I feel like Krankendow had the ability at some point to go Ulgorg, but it's probably closed by now and doesn't have a 3rd active base. Is taking the 12 o'clock-ish area. Yeah, this is just not working for him. He's got the Zoryus Cloud. There's no Hurakans here. This feels like the Zoryus should be what's sent forth. If there's no Hurakans, the Zoryus will body block as much as they can. But no, he's borrowed the wrong units. He's borrowed them instead of the Lakers. That's a mistake. Trying to get on top of them, spawn the Rogue Cores, do what damage you can. But meanwhile, the hatch has been killed by the reinforcements coming in from 12. There's a lot more Shamans where that came from. Still no Hurakans. No, they're over here, that's why. And that's an easy cleanup without the synergy of the two. Problem is the Cyprian count's so damn high that you need a much better army to deal with what's going on there. Now, admittedly, the Cyprian count can also deal with Gorgs probably, but it's the combination of things. Had they been out earlier, they probably would have averted disaster. The bio transition after Wraiths has definitely been convincing, to say the least. With Tier 2 complete, so much map control. Newt setting up base number 6. He can afford to throw away some of these stray sips. Mantles are under construction. Krankendow, I don't think you're going to be getting very far here, as you still have no 3rd base. To finally evict all of the Terrans from your doorstep. But look at what else awaits you. Very sizable Hurakan stack with some Shamans to boot. 12 Cyprians per rotation apparently are possible right now. Sieves being capped. Reservoirs being built by a factor of 4, and Mantles under construction for those Ramses, Durandals, and Cataphracts. Oh, and the Triton, but I don't think anybody's really making those. Newt could do a funny thing. He could make only Tritons out of the Mantles and just kind of laugh at how, like, oh, this unit isn't something I know. I'm going to kill you with this unit you maybe have not seen. It is one of the newest Terran additions. So that would make sense. The Lakers need to be guarded very, very well here. Krankendow trying to step forward. I don't know if this is going to work out, buddy. You so much detection from the side of Newt, and that should be game. He needed to hold with those Lakers, not step so far forward that it didn't matter. Canceling out his 3rd base. Well, maybe that would have been his 4th, we can say. Meanwhile, Newt's taking the top left now. 10 o'clock is his next destination. Happily taking as many bases as he wants. Yeah, at this point, the cost efficiency isn't even really the question. He's got so many more resources. Eskagan going to be melted, liquidated by Ahmed. And the other 3rd base is found. This might be the point where Crank just types out GG. He's desperately trying to hold on, thinking that maybe Newt is more all in than he is my guess. Can't believe he's been bested by a man who went 2-pad Wraith and Seal Valk. The thumbnail for this video, if this were to be a Cosmonarchy highlight video, right, would definitely be the Valks shooting Calcs while the Terran Bio fights the Zerg underfoot. That's pretty cool. That's a good moment. We don't get that very often. Rare case where Vitrilisks would be pretty epic. Hurricanes charging forward, absorbing as many shots as they can. The Cyprians march imperiously. We have so many Lakers. Crank is the Lakers, man, that's for sure. And he's going to use it to kill every last Huracan on the field. Poor Ahmed. I can't believe how long Crank is hanging out here. He's really going for it, isn't he? All right, now he can say GG. Surely. Maybe not. There it is, GG. All right. Yeah, a funny game. Amusing match. We have ourselves Newt claiming victory, the most recent weekend wage champ. He defeated Crankendow 2-1 in the upper final and Arbus 2-0 in the grand final. So some top players felled, and that's always a time to be alive. Let's take a look at what else we might be able to spot in the meantime. We've got plenty of exciting matches yet to cast, but I don't know if any of them are going to be on this patch. Let's take a look. Ooh, hold on. We had a Magnetron match between Kasuga and Crankendow. Love me some Magnetron. No idea if this replay works, though. Dunno. We're going to throw caution to the wind and get in here. See what we get. Kasuga has been feeling a certain type of way about playing against top players, but I think he might be getting a little bit of his mojo back. At least I can certainly hope so. I think Cosmonarchy is pretty epic when Kasuga is gaming. That's what I think, chat. Here we go. Kasuga's our black Protoss in the bottom left. Crankendow in the top right. Is our chestnut? Burnt Umber Zerg. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's a good color. I have not seen that in a long time. That was for a while. That was Ahmed's official color. Like if I ever put Ahmed in a campaign mission or something, he was Burnt Umber. Because, you know, it's fire and stuff. Take a big sip of water and tell you guys about some Cosmonarchy stuff after, like a gateway first. Ooh. I feel like overall, ZVP might be one of the most interesting matchups in Cosmonarchy. And I'm really interested in TVT. I'll tell you guys that much. I think the Terran Mirror is both well developed because it's played often, but also just really interesting. It's just very different. So I like that. I dig that. That's my story for now. We'll see if I stick to it. Oh, and I wanted to say that tomorrow I will be casting some more Cosmonarchy matches. I don't know the time of my stream, but it will be featuring some of the tournament matches. We'll be live casting the semifinals. Although the games have already been played, I'll be casting from replays. We'll be live casting the semifinals of the Tribunal stage to decide who will be making it into the grand finals. So that's pretty cool. We'll see that all that action starting tomorrow. Quarterfinal matchups are in the can for YouTube uploads. And then YouTube will also get the semis, of course. Double Larvosk, of course. Crankendow going for his very, very typical build. He does it against all races. Except, I think his ZVZ builds are typically a little bit different. I don't know. The more I think about it, I don't really think there's a matchup that I don't enjoy right now. I have seen a lot of TVZ that doesn't look as cool as that last game does. That's for sure. But yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. We've got a Grand Library coming for Sir Kasuga on one base. Not bothering to scout just yet. By the way, this map Magnetron, I ported it from the layout of Tokamak, which is a StarCraft 2 map. I think it might not be in the ladder pool anymore, but it was at one point. Nice positioning there from Kasuga, somehow preempting where that Zethar between two blades, like between two ferns. So Kasuga will expand off of the 2-gate Grand Library, which is good to know, because Kasuga has sometimes gone for more aggro plays that have delayed his expansion. Not this time, boys. I feel like overall, the way that the noise floor, I've talked about this a little bit recently, but the noise floor of Cosmonarchy has really been nice, isn't it? I like how many sound effects ambiently play. Just lets you figure stuff out when you visually like look at a part of the game and then you see that audio. It's pretty neat. Good little double tap from Kasuga's workers. Minimal disruption. But the scout is pretty complete there. Sees the Grand Library. You might guess Cantavis, but we'll find out together. And a Hydrith Den is underway for Krankendow. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and I think we need to expand the size of Class 2. Class 1 has recently been expanded to, if we look at their rankings page, right? There are 9 players in Class 1. I think that will jump to 10. And then we will see in Class 2, I think we will jump from obviously from 18 to 20, of course, as a result of that. But the other thought there is maybe by the time we kickstart our gauntlet stages and such, we might just say that, hey, all those players that were, Class 2 adjacent, perhaps, yeah, they are in a position where they're actually just now Class 2, and the bottom of Class 2, but still Class 2. And then, Class 3 would be a little bit more of a normalized rank. Because you got players like Kasuga, who I think we'll see so far, he's hanging with Krankendow, a Class 1 player. Yeah, I don't know. This is just one of those things that every now and then it pops into my head. Like, Kasuga, Sausage, these guys are actually, like, a cut above the other Class 3 players, right? Like, there's a big difference between Kutiam and Sausage, or Kutiam and Kasuga. And it's not just that they're Protoss and Kutiam is Terran. All right, good storm. Going to be blanketing most of these units. The Warden being focused down by those Hydras. That feels like a bit of a target selecting error. The Hydras could have gone after the Cantavis instead, and he's been kept alive by the Ecclesiast. Oh, it's a bloodbath at the natural choke. I love the little gates of hell from the pylon. That's cute. A little bit of a buffer there. Of course, warp in another Warden on that side. Argosy immediately starts up for Kasuga. As soon as he holds the first piece of aggression, he's going to cap the ridge inside his natural and move on to some more mineral-heavy expenditures while he waits for the Vespene to afford whatever he wants. Something that is a unique feature of Magnetron is that the neutral gas mining here is a little bit faster, courtesy of the Wellbore, which gives you 9 Vespene per return, and the Sieve, of course, upgraded, gives you 5. And there's a cute 10 center in the middle. I have seen it used. I saw it used in the Hit 'em Up versus Newt game. I was so hyped about other parts of the game, I didn't even mention that. Just very interesting. Grand Library is, of course, a critical structure for Kasuga's plan. He can add Heralds, which look pretty boss now. And he can keep Cantavis counts going. He's also adding more Amaranths, which pretty important units for any sort of shield sustaining composition. Krankendow, we haven't really looked at his base too often, but he's switching into the Macrohatch in the main base, and he's got the Vornath for Nathicors. I'm actually not sure what the Naths are for yet. Does he just know that Kasuga's going to be going for Argosy? They did play a bunch of games together. This is actually the last game that they played together, so I probably could have done a different order, but interesting that if he's already preempting that with the Nathicors. And there it is. A Herald and an Empyrean are on the way for Kasuga. who is sometimes, not really sometimes, but sometimes known as Krasuga. Shout out Krasuga one time. I think with the presence that the Zerg has, I don't want him to go up this ramp. Krankendao, if you can hear me through the time-space continuum, please beware this ramp. Yeah, I think he's just going to go ahead and pop up a different angle. Spots the third base being taken. This is a mineral only. This and the other likely third base on this map are mineral onlys, which is also a unique feature. And so we're going to have a protection mode, but the Cantavis immediately nuked. There's another one for a good storm. So that disengages the attack, and we have multiple bases being taken by Crank. He wants the gas at the 3 o'clock, and then he's going to go ahead and take the mineral only. The random Zethicor was cleared because the Scribe was mining. Classic move. Always a little bit trippy when that happens. Macro Hatch in the natural. Krankendao looking pretty good on the production side. Can make a lot of Hydras. But he needs to think about how he's going to develop his tech, because he was privy to the Empyrean existing. Got Zethicors patrolling all over the place, which is very good and thematic for Zerg. Empyrean number 3 on the way. Second one just left the building. More workers being rallied over. Kasuga playing a pretty clean game so far. Obviously leading in workers. That's sort of what you expect for Zerg in this stage. Ski backed on the way. Shroud halfway complete. Krankendao definitely needs to keep scaling his production. His hatches have popped. So that's a good sign. And we will be seeing 18 workers. Look at that. All right. For a second, that's how many were in production. So there's a window of opportunity for Kasuga here, but he's not being very proactive yet. Instead, he's just going to take more bases, including the one with the extra Vespene. So staying abreast of the situation, we're going to have most of those Drolats hit the more distant base for now. And of course, the air and ground mixed army, rather, for our Protoss player has been spotted. Only Hydras, and of course he goes for a bit of a burrow trap for a moment. That would have been very cool. But I do think that the Hydras are going to have a hard time actually engaging onto this army. Now, admittedly, there isn't a lot of consistent splash damage. That's what the Empyreans are sort of for. But there isn't a ton of it just by default. The Storm needs a lot of micro, and the Cantavis is pretty low. Man's got almost 2k damage to his name, at least. This Hydra watching the ramp will be the first port of call for Krankendao. And as he watches it get sliced up, he knows exactly what's coming. More Nathricors have been made. You can try to spread them out, split them, and occupy the Empyrean's time. Hey, what's up? Oh, should have probably gone after that Cantavis. Bit of a whiff that he doesn't. He loses a couple extra Hydras for his troubles. But that is going to be a lot of the splash damage that Kasuga had. Now, back's against the wall, and here come the Nathricors going after those Empyreans. They're going to be the first to fall to that splash damage, but that's the capital ship not dealing with any of the Hydras, and that should be a total wipe. Look at that. The reinforcements coming in from Krankendao. He had a perfect timing on that surround. He's going to go after that Empyrean in the sky. It's brought down very low, but he still needs to deal with these units on the front, and the Amaranth count is pretty good right now. Kasuga only has one Empyrean in production, so if he's not able to drive this force back very convincingly off the back of his current ground force, he will not have a lot in store. 15 Hydras in production. Only now is Kasuga spending his money. Incredible mineral banks for both players. One of the healthy Empyreans has gone down. Only the wounded one is left, and it looks like Zerg are very quick to evaporate this Protoss army. Kasuga pulling away. He's going to try to slow down any more reinforcements from coming over. You saw just there next to the Tensender, the last Empyrean being destroyed. Even though the circuit will go down here, I don't think this is going to be too bad for Krankendao. He might lose a worker here or two, but he's totally fine. He's got that reasonable economy. The gas is being saturated. He's got okay mineral count. He basically is on 3 base minerals. Kasuga on a much higher economy, and he's starting to add more tech. Grand Libraries, Prostration Stage, Argosy number 2. He needs more production, and he knows it. Has he had enough time to remax some kind of army that can withstand the sheer number of Hydras that are being made? And Amaranth flies up to the top right. Thankfully, the Nathricors will help out there. And bottom right being taken, skipping over the mineral only at 6 o'clock. Kasuga has plenty of minerals. This is the kind of time where you would want to add a lot of gateways, I feel like, but let's find out what happens next. We've got a nice little stronghold there, just waiting for a couple of units to help clear things out over here. Hydra will be felled. Yeah, Crankin' has a lot of vision, a lot of map info now. More macro hatches. One thing that I think only Neblime really does is Zerg. Maybe Hamster does it, but I haven't seen Hamster enter into too many macro games, so I can't really recall. Is build static defense structures the way a lot of Protoss players do. And Neblime hasn't played Zerg in a while, right? Some Lyrilisks have been filtered in. Pretty good for air stacks of light, but obviously the Empyreans are anything but light air, let's be real. A lot of these scribes going to be cleared up. That's going to be a big lack of Vespi now for our Protoss player. Mineral only being distance mined, or maybe it was drilled onto for safety. Doesn't matter. They're dead now. A lot of Lyrilisks. A lot of them. And bottom right also got cleaned up. So just like that, Krankendow has decidedly swung the game in his favor, and we have 10 Skithra cores on the way. Frustration stage is here for a Mine Tyrant. One's already out. We're going to get those Malefactor Empyreans, I think. A rare case, not something that you see every day. Or maybe we won't get it, because Kasuga, your Mine Tyrant is right in the front line. As soon as you see that, Krankendow should be happy to go kill it. It is targeting an Empyrean. It pops before it can finish the incantation. And now a war on multiple fronts. A great Psystorm to spread out some of this DPS. But look at everything crashing down upon Kasuga coming in from the top row. Another Mine Tyrant. Will it be able to get its passive off? Will it even matter? The Empyreans are being engaged upon. A lot of the shields are falling. Remember what I said, though. These Empyreans are not so, they're not so light. It's very easy for the Hydras to deal with them. It's not so easy for the light, the anti-light, the Lyrilisks, etc. to deal with them. Another great Psystorm. I think Kasuga will just barely hold. We've got some Skithra cores here. Oh, and it looks like just barely. There was some kind of armor rend applied. I think it might have actually been... like a random Zorius or something that lost over the Rokor. Very, very interesting. So, barely those Skithra cores help out, but he needed the Viths, I think. Tetsura cores on the way, more Hydras. I think Krankendow recognizes now that the Lyrilisks are not so great versus heavily armored units, and you do need that armor end to give them a look in. I thought that maybe was what the Skiths were for. He already has the option to make Vithrilisks, after all. It's not a unit that you get made very often, so I don't necessarily blame Crank for not doing so. Another cancel at that fourth base. Kasuga, it's looking really rough for the Protoss. And both of his first two Mine Tyrants were taken out, so, what does he spend his Vespene on now? Making sycophants. Okay, another Mine Tyrant gets queued up. Maybe Krankendow will let him breathe long enough to apply it. More bases being taken in the meanwhile by Crank. He might be thinking about bottom right as he masses up the rest of his army. Was something over here? I don't know. An accidental attack, perhaps? No, it was a scribe randomly sent in. I just couldn't see the corpse. 13 more Skiths. Larva are idle because Crank has done what very few Zergs do, actually. He's made so many larva producers that he doesn't actually have enough resources to spend it all, despite expanding a lot. So, hats off to him, but maybe build more workers. Random seedant in the bottom right. Never got cleaned. Now it will. Okay, and we're talking about a lot of Empyreans here. 7. One of them is going to get the Malefactor ability. Oh, he actually kind of broke it because he flew away from it, so the spell was canceled. So he's going to have to deal with that later. Mineral-only Nexus being attempted. The upgraded neutral gas also being attempted. This is a very great, massive ball of Zerg. But does he have anything that can deal with all of the Empyreans? Krankendow has dealt with this kind of thing before with Zarkavra cores, but he is not teched into that this time around. Doesn't even have an Ulgorg, to my knowledge. He's just going after the Nexus, but he doesn't have the armor pen to deal with it right in this moment. And his ground army is getting flummoxed by the positioning. A lot of Amaranths as well, so it's going to take a long time. Man, there was a game on Sideshow where a Tetsura core attacked an Amaranth, and they just slapped each other for a long time. It's beautiful. Great split of units so far. That 10 Cinder very likely going down as it burns. The Mine Tower, by the way, still doesn't have a champion. Still does not have a Malefactor. The teched out Protoss army trying to punch well above its weight. The ground is still replete with Protoss. And now we have the Tedzoricors trying to get what they can by getting a little bit closer. All those Empyreans, well, a lot of them are getting focused down. We've lost a few of them so far. The Malefactor now will apply. And you hear the distant laughter of Amaranths. Here come some Skits trying to do what they can. A little bit of armor and would go a long way, but we don't have any yet. We do not have any. But still, the Empyreans will start to falter. Nothing going after that Mine Tyrant. I think that might have been an even better choice of target. And Krankendow making 25 Iziricors and 14 Hydras. His production is great. His numbers are great. He still has a much bigger army, as Zerg often does. But I'm not so convinced that the Protoss army isn't so teched out and so heavily armored that Krankendow's composition will be left wanting. Tyrannized units galore. Here come a lot of those Iziricors to flank. They're not very effective. This is not an army that's meant to kill what is before us. And yet still, one of the Empyreans has gone down. Another one should be the focus of his ire. Unfortunately, we've got Sycophants and other enchanters in here boosting the shields. I don't think it's going to be enough, guys. I don't think Craig can actually break that Malefactor. Not right now, at least. Just making units, whatever he can make. Doesn't have a lot of Vespene in the tank. Never took those bases to the north. Never took extra bases to the south either. The 5-base Zerg against now a 5-base Protoss, let's face it. Kasuga has expanded behind this and is mining. And GG is called. His Crank concedes the game. I can't believe Kasuga outlasted him. Wild scenes. Absolutely absurd. Of course, if I went ahead and casted all the other games that Crank and Kasuga played, I wonder who would come out ahead. I do wonder. I do wonder. Pretty cool stuff to see all of that extra moves go the way of the Zerg player at first. I thought it was like a thematically appropriate game, you know, but doesn't end up taking the game, which is definitely surprising. Also really cool to see Magnetron. It is in the Class 1 pool now. But, you know, sometimes you will see some games faced by them. Looking through some of the other replays that were uploaded recently, there is another Magnetron game. Once again, a TVZ between Newt and Crank. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Those seem to be some of the longer games that were uploaded recently. So we'll probably do that, and then we'll see what else is available. Have to go back into the backlog a little. I would love to eventually do a tournament where, you know, the races are decided by like random or whatever. Always. I think that would be pretty funny. All right, we're back on Magnetron here, ladies and gentlemen. Cranking down in the top right is, once again, Burnt Umber. Pretty cool color on him. And in the bottom left, we have Newt, the Alice Blue. Alice Blue Terran. Very close to Cyan, not quite. And he's going to, of course, go bio as he does. So the Stockade is going to come down for our Terran, and Crank will probably be, if I had to guess, he's just going to open it normal. You know, Kagran, Larvosk. Well, Kagran, Pool, Larvosk, and then a second Larvosk after that. So while we wait for the action to get underway, I'll use this opportunity to remind you guys that we do have merch for sale, store.cosmonarchy.com. If you want to buy some Cosmonarchy merch, we'll have more options next year, of course, but right now, we have the 2025 logo on a bunch of apparel and household goods. You're probably your last chance to order if you were looking for some Christmas stuff. But if you do end up ordering, feel free to let us know when you get it. Post up some pictures. Share it everywhere. Whatever. Tag us on Twitter, I guess. Whatever you want to do, really. But it's always cool to see. Smarty Cakes ordered a mug recently, so I got to see that, and that was pretty cool. He already had coffee in it, or whatever he was drinking out of it. I assume it was coffee. But cool stuff there. Cool stuff, and just in time for the holidays. This time around, the Larvos comes before the pool. Maybe looking at the map distance and judging it as something he can do that for if he wants to without being brutally and viciously assaulted by Newt's infantry. Looks like he's setting up for an expansion. He will do so now. Let the Mason return with the minerals, and he's like, hey, you were supposed to build something. And this is actually going to be a third Larvosk here. No, never mind. I'm a goofball. I thought he already had a second Larvosk for some reason. Well, it'll be a third larval generation structure, but that's what we expected. I thought I was talking about merch for way longer, and so time dilation set in, and I was like, damn. Third Larvosk already? Not quite. Although I do miss the builds where hit him up would do like 4 Larvosk in the early game and just slam out a ridiculous amount of workers. It was like pure circuit. He would have loved the Agrolith. It's too bad he hasn't playing that much lately. Because he would have loved making like 40 circuits with one Agrolith. Maybe not though. It might not come online fast enough. Down goes the first Zethricore. Upended by the positioning of those Mavs. We got an Ovaleth with nothing in it. Earmarked for the Terran base on a scouting report. See what kind of facts it can find in that position as we have the 1 stockade expand into 2 stockade or 3 stockade follow-up. Makes a lot of sense on a theory standpoint. Newt clearly going for a more aggressive or a more economic build as opposed to his aggressive builds that we've seen a bit more frequently. Maybe trying out different styles, trying to be distinct. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for players who just occasionally will drill a bunch of stuff that they're not that practiced in, even versus top players, even when it could get cast at any point because it's a ranked game. You know, I like that. I dig that. You gotta just try stuff. You gotta just style it out. Maverick's gonna stem after that Ovaleth. Good baiting by Crank for him to immediately respond to that. A little bit of damage dealt, but not enough to make a humongous difference. It's gonna be a Zeth-Quaz combo here, it looks like. A little bit of heckling from the Zeth. I don't think Crank can do much here in this position, but he is getting the Shroud, and I'm assuming he just wants to have some awareness of when the Terran army starts to move out. It's good that Newt is scouting this, because he can just shove this off immediately if he wants to. Expansion is done for Crank and Dow, a little bit later than the Terran. Obviously, Zerg saturate their bases a little bit differently than the other races. And by that I mean it could be a lot faster, it could be a lot slower. It's very, very difficult to make a standard fair ruling of it. Varies quite a bit. The original version of this map actually didn't really even have this choke. This whole thing was open like this. So I added these 2 things, and I thought that worked out pretty well. Might even need to extend this out further, though, so that this can be like choke number 1, and then there's choke number 2 or something. Either way, we will see. So far, I actually haven't seen too many like really short-term, 2-base busts or, trying to be somebody who kills the natural, basically, and something that abuses the fact that the choke is wide here, whereas it's not as wide here, so food for thought. As Zethricore in the middle of the map will spot out some of the army. That Cyprian is going to take a few shots from a Zeth as well. Just, every little bit of damage will help out a little bit, and Crank It Out mostly just biding time. A Circuit in the making in the natural, as 3 Lakes are in production. 3 have already popped. So I don't think Crank is going to be in much trouble here, but he isn't pre-positioning his Lakes in a really splendid way. I think what you actually would have wanted is for Newt to commit there and then get attacked, but Does Crankendow really know that? Is he... I think right now he's mostly concerned with surviving and going towards those Bactyls. Maybe the lessons of Frosted Forest, it could be in his mind that the Zorka's-based composition didn't really fight against Cyprians super efficiently, just by themselves. I just had a Gigabrain idea that's actually pretty low IQ probably, but what if you built an Ovoleth, loaded a bunch of units into it, elevated, and then sent them to your Scout Ovoleth? Eh? Maybe they'd get there faster. Do a little bit of a daisy chain. Works perfectly. Behind this, Newt is looking for his third base, a mineral-only expansion. He's already hit him up on this map once, so we're expecting him to recognize that this map has a lot of mineral-onlys. Disproportionate amount. 7 Skither Cores on the way. 2 Zoryus incoming as well. Listen, Godwee, you donate a lot of money, but I don't think you can donate enough for it to be Friday night. Though if it were, it would be Biddy Birthday Bash. That's what we would be doing right now. I had to check the time real quick to make sure that was true. Yeah, we'd be finishing up the Biddy Birthday Bash right now. It's coming. Lake is going to push forward. Armor Rend from the Zoryus helping out a lot. And look at that. The Skips can't be armor rended by the Huracan, so they get body blocked. They body blocked for the Cyprians. Holy moly, is that a new meta development right before our eyes? I think that might be true. I think Skither Cores might counter Cyprians. I think we might have just found it. Not quite. A little bit more stutter stepping. Wow, cranking down the big brain. And he's already got the Tethvith up on the way. I mean, listen. You can argue that ground army, like Ultra Core or something, would just be fine versus the Cyprian. The armor rend makes a humongous difference. The fact that the Skither Cores cannot be armor rended by Terran makes suddenly a very, very, very interesting proposition. Because now the Cyprians can't shoot past the Skiths no matter what. It doesn't matter how many Huracans you make. You cannot stack them on top of each other's heads. That was really cool. Mineral only being taken by Crank. He'll use it to leapfrog to other bases, no doubt. Still behind the 8-ball expanding-wise compared to his Terran component, or opponent. Star pad almost complete. That's actually the second one, as an Anseal is being made. This is likely just for mass Anseal, though. Maybe Valkyries? Maybe he's worried about the Skith. You know, that makes more sense. You would go Valks here just to try to clear the skies out so that the Cyprians get a clean shot. Pretty quick thought process and adaptation. Look at this. Look at this, though. Zerg's are just going to bisect this position. This looks kind of deadly, kind of dangerous. Let's see how long-standing this outpost will actually be. He wants to send some Lakers over to the mineral line. Crafty Crank doing his best. His Lake is starting to bear some fruit. We'll keep that selected and count up the kills. 5 just appeared in that kill counter. He's going to have to deal with one of them before he gets rid of the rest. So it looks like it is eventually going to be dealt with, but not before he deals with that Watchdog. And look at the Tets. They're just body blocking. They're playing the Vanguard. The Lake is still denying any movement back. And now the rest of the Masons will start to fall. 15 kills. Crank goes for the push. He believes he can make it happen. The rest of the Lake is pushing in. Well, they're not targeting the right units, but the Izira Core count is so high, and the armor end is so good. So this flank gets broken. Newt hasn't even tasked these guys onto minerals yet. Not that he needs them right now. He needs Vespene more than anything. He'll transfer him over to replenish the stocks. This Lake is still alive with 17 frags before it dies. And the third base is shut down as well. Sick moves from Crank. He's got so many Lakers and Zoryus behind this as well. I don't even think... At this point, he's broken the SIP stack. He might not even need to worry about Skiths going forward. His ground army might be good enough. Another Lake is arriving. Kind of getting bullied a little bit. Hi. Oh, Crank. Well, it did buy some time, right? It did kind of put him out of the picture for a moment. I saw Skits show up in the production tab for a moment, and then they got canceled. So clearly it was a thought on Crank's mind, or it was a misclick of the universe, a mystery click of the universe. Yeah, the Cyprian count is threatening, but the positioning of the Zerg is deadly. Lakers at this point, the count is so high, he can afford to sack some of them. All the shots that are spent on them aren't spent on the Teths, aren't spent on the Zoryas, and the Iziricors are backing up the army. The armor end is enough. GG. Newt knows when he's been bested, and Crank will take the game. Pretty nice game, honestly. Listen, Magnetron just makes cool games. What can I say? That Kasuga match, whew. And now that one, that was really cool. I'm glad I caught that, because that feels like meta defining. Zergs are having such a hard time with clearing out Cyprian stacks, and now you just make Skithropores. Brain blown. I can't believe it's real. But I can believe it. Of course I can. All right, lads. We've been going for about an hour and a half. I'll take a short break, and when I come back, I will be looking for more games to cast. So stay tuned. And I just need to find the BRB button. There it is. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have returneth. A little bit earlier than the timer said, but that's because I'm epic. And we are going to be taking a look at another Terran versus Zerg. But have no fear, it is completely different players. Welcome to a match between Arbuz Budesh and the Shambler on a map by BiddyB called Corrosion. Now, I don't actually know if Corrosion is based on an existing map or if it's something completely different, but as you can see, it has a rusty pit-based layout. You can go ahead and pop your natural down pretty close. I like the little arrows. This one, well, the arrows kind of point this direction, which is cool, but obviously this one is like a little bit more of a framing. You can see the Terrans complaining already. That's hilarious. From Arbuz Budesh, who is in the top left as our Coral Zerg. And Shambler in the bottom right is, of course, our Vine Green. No, Emerald Terran. I always get his color wrong for some reason. Ah, he got pranked. He thought it was Force Spawn. Larvosk into Pool is the play here for Arbuz. And yeah, I guess the third base might be a little bit difficult. We'll see a little bit more of the map layout as it unfolds. Shout out the coffee page. It was just linked in the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat. A good opportunity to support the project's development is to subscribe there monthly, or you can go ahead and put in a bid for individual one-time donations. I think at some point pretty soon I'm going to put up some commission options there where you can like commission maybe something like, you know, $30 or whatever for a new factional unit or something like that. You know, like spend some money and get a new unit added to the game by your request. And if I can't satisfy your request, then, you know, we work together on, like, what would be better. Like, oh, I actually wasn't planning on adding a factional variant of that, but what about this, you know, counter proposal? And we'll go back and forth and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of thing takes off or people bother to do that. But for those who don't want to do the monthly support or who already are, but also are looking for other things to do, like Smarty Cakes recently pledged 20 bucks for a Zerg unit edition, and because he's a homie and already donates, I'm giving it to him on a discount there. I think that's fine. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. It's pretty cool. All right, so Shambler is sitting here with 6 Mavericks and many more on the way. The Zethicors are going to be facing that opponent. There was some chatter about the map. I did not pay attention to it. Looks like based on the progression here from Arbuz, he will be going for a little bit more workers, but a lot of bit more military soon. He's already got some quads out, and he is going for the Vornath, the Zethicor being hounded by the Mavs. This area in the middle of the map, very open. I can see a lot of big army fights being attempted here, particularly once you pass, like, the ramp. You get, like, halfway through, like, dead center of the map. That feels like no man's land, where if your opponent knows you're there, they can go for a humongous surround. So that's pretty cool. We've got Quaz and Zeth trying to defend the hatch. The Mavs come in. BiddyB asking for thoughts right before an attack. Hilarious timing. BiddyB, of course, the map author, if you didn't know. He's spectating the game. Zeth's going to come on in. And the thoughts so far are, yeah. So Shambler must agree with the idea of 2 Nats, or 2 entrances to Nat. There's a lot of Zeths here. I don't think the Mavs are going to be destined to get anywhere from here, other than maybe heck. But Arbuz also has not been producing more Quaz just yet. Oh, I keep forgetting to actually pull the trigger on this change, but there is a change coming to Quasilisks that I think will be interesting in situations like these. Let's see. More Mavs arriving. The control is not great for Shambler. He is going to have to double back and reset. He did a lot of damage to the hatch, but it's still working. It's still providing, and the Calcure Lake just began construction. Starpad is underway. We've got a little bit of Vespene harvesting from the natural of Shambler. And a lovely concave setup here for Arbuz. He actually pulls away from 2 Mavs that were mistakenly sent over there by Shambler. The miss rally is real, but then those 2 Mavs fall away. And suddenly, Arbuz is baited into some position where he's losing a lot of units. So maybe it was 900 IQ. You never know. So that Kagrant's destined to be either a Khaz'trith or a Circuith, but I'm going to go ahead and guess a Circuith. Indeed. With the Vornath done, he can make a lot of Lyras, and this aggression will have to end. Lyras are just really, really good versus Mavericks that don't have any Shamans or anything like that for support. And there's the Vestry, speaking of the Shaman. With Anseal's underway, courtesy of the Star Pad. Do we have one out already? If we do, it is not on the front line. Yeah, I think this dead center here, it could use a little bit of cover probably. You know, just to my taste. Obviously, this is a part of the map that may have changed since this game was played. It was late November. I saw this match played. So, worth pointing out that I'm sure a lot has been tweaked. I think I saw the latest version of it had some tiles over here that, at the very least, spruced up the visuals of it. But it does feel like the dead center could use something, maybe even just a mound, like an Omni ramp or whatever, that provides you with a bit of cover to fight over. But it could be really sick for surrounds even so. Definitely admit that. That's pretty cool. It almost feels like a 4-spawn map based on the middle and how the middle works. That feels 4-spawn mappy, but it is XY, which I think is really neat. I think that's a neat idea. So I'd love to see this get some more games on it. I guess it hasn't officially released into Class 0, though. BDB been holding on to a lot of his maps rather than releasing them. All right, Shamans have been scouted out. And the Anseal was probably revealed earlier when Arbiz pushed out of his natural. So he's got a spray here specifically for that Anseal, actually. Pretty nifty little tactic. Guarantees its demise if it hangs around too much. And Terrans are used to just idling it over, even if it's drained of shields. So that's pretty good. Third base going to be taken here. Could use some bullets, it looks like. Shambler thinks so anyway. He's going to try to redecorate it with some Zerd blood. I really don't think that's going to work out for him, though. The Lyrilisks are pretty good here. And the Shaman actually hasn't linked up with this army, so all these stims are making it bounce city if you're not careful. And it doesn't really feel like Shambler's being very careful. He's got more Zeth and Vorb to deal with, and all of his Mavericks have been eliminated. The Shaman also caught in the same breath, and Anseal only with 17 health. Fleeing back home to be repaired by the nanos. Loads up the Mason. I think that was by mistake. Vomit puppy. Oh yeah, Lyrilis got unit response, and Arbiz was happy about that. Good dog. Yeah, true. I don't think that actually contributed too much to the fight, but I'm willing to have Shambler type a comment about it, how I'm wrong later. That's what you do when you say something counter to what Shambler did. Guarding the multiple ways into his domain, Arbiz does feel like he's in a pretty safe spot. I was just checking some other parts of the layout here. Tier 2 on their way, and Anseal guarding 6 o'clock. Guarding, scouting, whatever. There's more where that came from, so it would feel like. Tier 2 already on their way for Arbiz. The neutral stuff at these sort of satellite positions here, it's very long distance for the reservoir, unless you're an artisan, of course. And it's probably fine, mineral-wise. Hash. Oh, I guess this is BiddyB hashing, because it wouldn't have been sent to me otherwise. Yeah. He's fine. Okay, GG, he says. He'll just watch the stream. Ministry gonna be landing somewhere, I'm sure. With Tier 2 popping, we are going to see the Mass Quaz. Who do you take me for? A fraud? I don't know what Shambler intends to scale up to, but he does have a healthy amount of bio. Still hasn't landed this third base, though. That feels a little concerning. The Avaloth is actually going to scoop down here and find it, too. Floating there menacingly. Setting up some stockades. Arbus has a ton of money in the bank, of course, because he's going for his cheeky move. 15 liras, or that might be 19, actually. Yeah, 19 liras. Yeah, I'll make us enter. I think Arbus wants to make the unit that makes Shambler not happy, mishappy. He wants to make the Almaxilisk. That's my guess. That's why he's making the Almacus Anter. Shroud behind it as well. Interesting choice to pivot. Hey, look, Goswelets are over here harvesting from the gas. You need at least 3 workers by the looks of things, but he's got a couple over here. Goswies are a little bit more efficient, as you can tell. That's very cute. I'm glad that Arbus is immediately using the mechanic. A lot of Mavs, a lot of Sips. Okay, Shambler, land your ministry, please. Well, he's transferring Masons over here, so I hope he figured it out eventually. It could be that the replay is broken, but again, I was sent it, so I'm going to assume it wasn't. Mason Scout is going to be dealt with. Now pivoting over. Anseals are pretty brought low as far as shielding goes, just by those Lyra splashes. He's going to stem forward, but the surround is in. The surround is in a humongous way. And it looks to me like the Bio Ball is committed to the fight, no matter what happens. 1 Tetkara core in production. Oh, Arbus. Oh, Arbus. Having a stutter step moment. 7 Shamans a pop is nothing to sniff at from Shambler's production side, but I think his whole army is just going to get crushed here. I don't think this is going to end very well. All that being said, he is kind of fighting it out. Well, I guess Shambler might just be able to break through after all. There's not much left here. Some more units left behind. Not that they would have necessarily made... Oh, they might have actually made a bit of a difference, but... My guess here, though, is that actually we have a broken replay on our hands, and Arbus just frauded me when he said that this one worked. Absolute haram. Because he had this tier 2 tech out, right? So he wouldn't have this many resources. He's not that type of guy. Unlucky, TBH. We had to see that Shambler was setting up some Sentinels. Well, we did get to see the new map, which is cool. But yeah, obviously would have preferred a functioning replay. My only guess is... My only guess is that the ministry was, in fact, controlled. Infested. Shambler very mishappy. Never a GG from Shambler, even in a hash. All right. We got it. We got the Shambler typing, at least. That's always good. Oh, I was on the right version there, so that is a shame that didn't work. Oh, that was actually early... Oh, that's interesting. That was not late November. That was early December. This whole time. Goodbye. Pop in and cast some Nabline versus Jackulansky. I want to see some more PVZ. And the map is Crisis Vector, it looks like, to start. Oh, wait. Oh, Jackulansky isn't playing Zerg. Well, we're going to watch some PVT then, and it's Jackulansky's Terran. That is not what I thought it would be at all, so I'll correct the overlay here. Pulling deep, as Jackulansky will be going for mech. I really don't know. I mean, Jack is such a reasonable... He's a Class 2 Zerg player. There was a period of time where he's really close to Class 1. I will doom myself in another matchup. No idea what that means. Oh, I see. He's He's trying to, get Jack up to speed in TvP as a Terran player. I understand now. I comprehend. Isn't that from Priority Survival? I comprehend. Right about now, we have Nebelheim charging forward with a scribe gallantly, going to heckle the Mason. This is something that only honorable people do. I actually think it's a good move. I mean, you should do it if you can. But Fulcrum's churning out a Vulture, so Nebelheim's going to have to stash that scribe somewhere. Attack myself. Let's see. Why? Why, Jack? Okay. He attacked his own ministry just for me. That'd be pretty sick if people were doing like little shadow moves, hoping I would recognize it. Being like, yeah, that's for when this game gets cast. Nebelheim's going to be going the 2-gate style here, which kind of points me towards either he's going to be teching or going for an expand soon. And with the expenditures, it feels more like a tech. Vulture unlikely to escape. Hierophant control, Nebelheim might be the best at. There's some things that Nebelheim is super good at with his unit control. Maybe, I guess probably Oya is better. Just factually speaking. But Oya doesn't play as actively as Nebelheim. And Nebelheim doesn't play that actively anymore either. Sniff. Sniff. That Nexus is on the way. Ministry almost complete for Jack Yelansky. I can't believe I'm saying that. Terran stuff about Jack Yelansky. No! Jack, you let him detonate your lobotomy mine. Lattice is going to be the follow-up here, as Nebelheim is sniffing out Vulture heavy play. Jack just building more and more Fulcrums. The Palladium is on the way, and the Ministry is going to go ahead and land. What kind of wild bonanza were these two in, where Jack decided he would play Terran? I feel like we have a dearth of Protoss. If Jack was going to race switch, surely he goes Protoss, but... His first casted game, by the way, was technically, it was on Infinite Velocity 2 versus Nebelheim Zerg, and he was playing Protoss, even though that was not his main race. He played random, and he's like, yeah, I just want to learn what other races do. Eh? Alright, buddy, if you say so. I wonder when we'll see Ball back. Alonso. From Hong Kong. That would be very cool to see him play some more Cosmonarchy. I wonder where he's been. I know he has to play from like a LAN cafe or whatever, so. That's pretty surreal to think that a LAN cafe has Cosmonarchy on it somewhere in Hong Kong. Maybe other places. Cool stuff, guys. Very cool. We have that natural slowly developing for Jack. As he adds his 4th Fulcrum. He's got both add-ons he needs for mech and producing some phalanx. Blackjacks have already been made. I gotta be honest with you, Jack is lacking in some very clear ways as far as Terran goes. His macro is probably the biggest thing that I'm noticing. Nebelheim up by 6 workers or so. But perhaps most crucially, the position that he's put himself in with this mech stuff does make it very challenging to get an army that can easily deal with what Nebelheim is teching into, which is, of course, the Unitary Union. He's also going to have some charlatans. There's like a hidden synergy with Charlatan Architect that doesn't come up too often, but obviously you're firing additional projectiles that can themselves split, stuff like that. I don't even know if Nebelheim itemizes for it in particular, like micros for it in particular, but it's pretty good. The Vultures hightail it out of there. They will not be able to slow any further economic development of Nebelheim. The stockade is made and then lifted. What is he going to do with that? More fulcrum. Did he make it by mistake? Surely not. He's got a plan with it. Is he just gonna lift it off and use it to block, like, if there were a lot of idols, I would say you could lift off your structure and use it to block a lot of your enemy's production. I can't remember who, it might have been Aud, but he was up against a Protoss making idols, and whoever this Terran was, lifted an anchor to absorb the damage and like flew it over. It might have been Shopdog against Sausage, thinking about it, in Last Acropolis. That might have been what happened. That was a wild time. That was a wild. And I guess that would technically be the Tribunal or something like that, as opposed to Acropolis. It could have been Gauntlets. I don't know. I can't remember now. It might have been Shopdog versus Sausage and Gauntlets. They wouldn't have played in the Battlement stage. And Sausage didn't make it out, spoiler, so he wouldn't have seen him in the throne room either. Unsieged Phalanxes are pretty deadly, but Jack will siege a few of them. Protecting his stockade. I guess he's just scouting with it, using it to absorb damage. He's got another one coming because the other one's about to be destroyed. Gonna go for an expand on location, but there's a Draken there to frustrate those attempts. No, my Phalanx! No, my stockade! I am Jack Yelansky's inner monologue. When he thinks thoughts verbally or audibly, he hears me going, no, my thought. The first architect has arrived. A Unitary Union Numero Dos is on the way as well. These games are played on the 3rd of December, if anybody's wondering, so that's our timeline. Not much has really shifted since. Ministry number 3 being constructed in the natural. He just keeps making stockades. Where did he get this tactic from? He must have been thinking about it all on his own. You know, I'm thinking about it. If Jack stays Zerg, Sopas can be Terran. I think he's also from the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. And Ball could be the Protoss, and they could be like the Learners League, the Pupil League of Nebline. Nebline could have his Southeast Asian Pupil League there. I guess Jack is a little bit too good as a Zerg player to be in the Pupil League, but he's technically Nebline's first pupil, right? So that's sort of where my brain was going for that. We need to aggressively expand into the neighboring countries of Korea, and then eventually they will join us. Now, the Phalanxes are in a pretty compromised position here, and the reinforcements were not deployed, but the blackjack count is still pretty good, and look at that. Whoa, Nebline being forced back. A lot of his more middling units already being cut down to size. The blackjacks do their best to follow on and keep pressure going. But that does leave very little in the way of chaff. I was going to say there's not really that much here, but 16 blackjacks started to storm the gates. More of them are after. I guess if you build up enough of a front of, you know, Phalanxes, and you don't really need to keep reinvesting in them because you keep them alive, that's absolutely grounds for there to be a blackjack spam that keeps the rest of the forces off of your Phalanx rather than doubling down and making more Phalanx. Tier 2, more than halfway complete for Jack, by the way. I wonder if he's been practicing versus AI or something, or maybe this is like the 15th practice game that he's played against Nebline, and that's why he has all of these instincts. Because even though I wasn't super impressed with the way he got to this position, the position itself ain't bad. Architect count is still rising, hasn't really been managed too heavily yet. And there's not a lot of Phalanxes within range either, so even though the Gateway Army and to an extent the Rogue Gallery units are all just about popping, that's one of the 5 Architects going down to Blackjacks as well. A little bit awkward for the position that Nebline finds himself in, but he should still be able to power through this. Friendly splash as well from the Vagrant Shades getting in up close and personal. And those Architects are so damn deadly. It doesn't help that the Phalanxes are busy dealing with, you know, units like that Zealot as opposed to anything else. Now that 3rd Ministry is landed, but there's no Masons mining from it just yet. Nebline, despite all the pressure that he's under, still has a 25 or so worker lead. and is setting up a third, or setting up a fourth base rather. So I think that's the big deal here. And the phalanxes have not been replenished. So we are down to only having about 5 over here. You need, like, probably, conservatively, you probably want, like, maybe 1.5 phalanxes for every architect. You can make that work. It does require a lot of care, though. Stockades to spot. The Witness is spotting as well. And flash shielding means that Nebline is happy to take fights like these. Only one individual phalanx here and there does not help things. Now, Blackjacks are going to scoot on in here and start heckling these defenses before they can get put down. Reinforcements will be scrambled to move in that general direction. A lot more phalanx need to be made, and Blackjacks are coming in after that. Demiurge has arrived off of the synthetic Scion we saw being built earlier. Nexus is not going to go down in this position. A little bit of economic damage. Some scribes went down, some structures got killed, but all in all, Nebline is totally fine. Remember, he still has 1 base up on his opponent. Only a few mining masons at that third anyway, so it's more like 2 base soon. Nebline starts to stretch up very closely. Very soon he will arrive at 100 workers. It's even some stolen phalanxes for good measure. Now that's just brutal. You can't do that. You can't do that, Nebline. Spoilers, he can do that. Well, as of right now, it does feel pretty dire for Jack, but he has assembled something that crashed my game. Owned. Absolutely devastated. Let me see if I can speed past to that moment in the replay. That was about 13 minutes, 14 minutes. And if it just keeps crashing there consistently, then rip. Go on to the second game. But I liked his mid-game push, but I feel like it needed a little bit more mustard on the hot dog, as they say. I liked his idea of going heavy into Scrapyard right after the Phalanx count was built up, but he needed to keep the Phalanxes alive, and versus Architects, that is a lot trickier, even than it looks. It looks kind of tricky, right? But it's pretty spooky. Alrighty. Those captaincies, I don't think even had their add-ons yet. Pretty difficult for Jack to push that into a working situation, in my opinion. Another thing that's worth pointing out here, if I search Nebline by name on Replay Kraken, I will see that the most recent games he had were actually the Tribunal stage matches versus the Shambler. That's a bit of a surprise. And then, yeah, before that, it was the games against Jack Yelansky. These games now that we're taking a look at. So he hasn't actually had a lot of practice. I wonder if Jack was trying to play Terran to prepare Nebline for his match. Is that what was going on here? Or is Jack just being a helpful Harry or what? I wonder if that has something to do with it. Very interesting. Because there's a lot of games with Jack playing Terran on Replay Kraken here. I have asked at some point for Veek to add the ability to search by matchup. And I think that would be very cool. But we don't currently have that technology. It looks like by the end of that particular replay, Jack Yelansky was defeated, but not able to actually show it to you in full force, unfortunately. Due to the way that the game ended up working. Or not working? Question mark? If I had caught that in the moment, I could debug it more completely, but fortunately, I do not know where that came from. Actually, it might have been patched out pretty recently. We're going to go to Estacion Fantasma for a game. We're going to be looking at Nebline versus Art of Turtle. So I did want to cast some PvZ. I wasn't lying about that. So I went ahead and found a game that they played on the 1st of December. Nebline's up very early for his time, I believe, and AOT is up very late my time. I think that's how this game came alive. Let's go ahead and get our map name on. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. AOT is our green Zerg in the top left, and in the bottom right we have Neblime as our royal blue, neon blue Protoss. Every time I guess royal blue, it's neon blue. I've never guessed neon blue, I don't think. I probably have. I've probably casted thousands of Cosmonarchy matches by now, so surely I've said neon blue at least once as a guess. Whether it was correct or not, I don't know. That is not for me to decide. That is for the game to decide. The game decides in interesting ways. You know, one of the things I was also thinking about recently is that I do enjoy doing the dev streams, the dev sessions, but I do think that they need to be a little bit on the longer side, so I should probably budget a little bit more time for that. And that will just be even more of a perk that you donors get. If you donate at least $3 a month on our coffee page, you get access to those streams. I need to do more of them, and I need to do them for longer. I think that's the answer to how we import and implement the Ascozi into Cosmonarchy. This will be a pool into Larvosk for AOT, and it's a 2-gate start here for Neblime. We'll see what he can cook up with Hierophants. Again, I was, you know, giving him his flowers for excellent Hierophant control. If he's not the best, it's only because a Swedish pro named Oya plays, and he's got hot hands. Scribe hiding up over here at the 9 o'clock. Is the, oh no, there's like a vision blocker part of this doodad. For a second I thought he like actually couldn't see or whatever, but I always forget when Blizzard has doodads like that. Those are pretty nifty options. All right, the Zets are going to power right past that Hierophant. They know not to even bother. Instead, they're going to go after maybe a little bit of worker kills. Already have claimed one. Cancels what he was building there because it was scouted. Although I don't think AOT even bothered to click. Instead, Neblime's going to go for an expand behind it, which is pretty cute. I like that move. Station Phantasma, a map by SGZZZ. It took him a long time to make this map and place all these tiles, but I was very, very excited to see it get done, and I'm even more excited to see that it's like a legit map with a lot of potential. It's in the Class 1 pool. I don't think it gets picked too often. I'm going to be weird for a moment and say I wonder if the map name was in English, would it get picked more often? I don't even know if people know how to pronounce it if they don't speak Spanish, you know what I mean? And not that I necessarily pronounce it perfectly, by the way. I don't know, I might just rename it to Ghost Platform or whatever. Ghost Station, I think. And see if that... Or Phantom Station, I think, technically. Anyway, I'll ask SG if he thinks that that would be a good idea. Or if he's particularly attached to it being in Spanish. I'm fine with either one. I'm just saying he might get it picked more often if he added in English. Just a random hypothesis. I was mulling that over recently. Like, you know, it doesn't get picked in weekend wage. It's, I think basically it needs to be in a tournament pool for it to be considered. I'm pretty sure, though. I mean, listen, I'm not going to give too much away just yet, but I'm pretty sure it'll make it into the Tribunal map pool next year. The Tribunals keep the same map pool for the trio that gets run. So the first three were already run, or still going on technically with the third one now, but have already been initiated, and they're all the same map pool. Meanwhile, for the 4th, 5th, and 6th Tribunals that will go live next year, starting in January, we will see the map pool be completely different. Not a single returning map. And the reason for that is we've well tested the other maps, right? Like, we know all about them. It's time to well test a whole bunch of others, and we're going to use these tribunals as kind of like a proving grounds for the rest of the maps in the pool to decide what makes it in for Acropolis 4. Which is going to be a pretty august company. Some of the best maps that we'll see. And I honestly haven't decided if any of the maps that have already been played are going to make it into Acropolis 4's main map pool. Like, I know some people are going to meme and say, well, obviously Crisis Vector will be there. I'm honestly not sure. It might. It'll still be a Class 1 map. It's clearly a functional map. It has some great games get played on it all the time, but I don't know. Maybe I don't want it in there. I do, there was like a map selection stream I did once. It had like 300 views. I was really surprised by how many people gave a shit. But a lot of people were very active in the chat with that one. They were like, oh, yeah, that map. Oh, you can't put that map in there, though. That's, you know, people doing stuff like that. So we'll do a whole ceremony for it, probably. It was a fun time. It was a good time, but we'll see what's coming down the pike for that. AOT's gotten up to a nice Drolef count here, making 7 more to surge past what Nebelheim has. Gonna be a lot of Acantors for him. He's obviously been padding his coffers with plenty of cash from his natural, and sort of a, not really a containment as much as it is just a sort of scouting party to see what's going on. This is all that you see over here, and a pylon has been discovered. Attempted to go for that third base. Obviously, you wanted to use Quas to kill this or whatever, but we will see. We will see. You don't want to show that you have calcs, is basically what I'm saying. He actually hasn't noticed that he hasn't made the hatch yet, so maybe he will see it, or hear it at the very least soon. As he pulls his army away from the front gate of Nebelheim, he will potentially offer up an option to expand soon. I like this low ground base. It feels like a very natural sort of progression from the third down to the rest of the map if you want. And yeah, I think that's something that this map does pretty well, is it provides you with a lot of natural progression towards the rest of the map wherever you decide to take your third base. I think that's an interesting and important decision for players to consider. Calc Lyra is the composition so far for AOT, but his Hydrith Den is nearly complete, and he has a bit of a roving force already. Nebelheim getting ready to defend the Nexus as it warps in. I don't think AOT can kill it, but he's going to go after the Acantor at the very least, and he will be able to pop that, but that was at a great cost of a lot of minerals and a little bit of Vespene for the Lyras. Not exactly ideal. Meanwhile, this 9 o'clock position more than halfway complete for our Zerg player. Expansions should pop at similar times. We got Hydras being made en masse. 8 Lyralisks just pilfered off a little bit here. By the way, double gas treasury. I feel like when people actually play this map, this will probably need to be changed. Very easy to use, you know, a worker there and just start taking command of that position. But I'm not opposed to it in principle. I'm just saying, you know, a lot of other maps have had to be pretty heavily changed as a result of the way that these kinds of things have morphed the game. The Lyralisks are going to attempt to heckle this rogue gallery. Unlikely to make too much of a difference there. More Droleths kicking in. I guess if AOT gets a very nice saturation level, he still has kept his calcs under wraps, but not so many of them have been made just yet. Ski-Backed is nearly complete. I'm guessing he's going to go for Bactyls, but without the help of Armor End, it just feels a little bit not great, I guess you could say. And a Cantor drop earmarked for 9 o'clock. Not a lot of Droleths here. There's a couple of Nats that can just kill the Envoy, but they're not actually positioned further forward, so just hasn't moved him up in the world. Some idols in production. Nebelheim loves that unit. And it looks like he might be looking for base number 4 soon. He's been playing a much more concerted, slower, macro-oriented style this game. He's probably drilling some stuff, and AOT slamming out the macro. He's got a lot of Zerg units moving in. It's just that they're on a little bit of a singular path, and the Nathakor is, again, not in a good position for the Acantor. So AOT is going to need to respond to this. Instead, he's going to move forward on the attack, but this is a very turtled position. The Acantors aren't quite in the right spot that you would want them to be in. AOT still hasn't looked back over at 9 o'clock, despite all the shots going his way. That Acantor pretty soon going to be destroyed, it feels like, but The shield restoration is humongous. I'm still checking to see when AOT pans away from this and looks back at his own base, but as of now, the Acantor's already killed everything. Well, at the very least, Nebelheim is going to lose that, but I mean, for all of that, the dead Zerg on multiple fronts of the war, he lost one rogue gallery and maybe a few other small units here and there. The Bactals being caught in the middle of the map is humongous as well. That's 3 of them going down. There was only 5 of them to begin with, so endangered species. He's making 6 more, but it might be a little bit before that refreshes. Sending more Droleth down to 9 o'clock. Nathakor's chasing another envoy, but it's not looking too likely. You can see them trying to lead it, sort of like Scourge lead Corsairs in StarCraft 1, but if you make enough Nathakors, by the way, you can do a lot of damage to things like Acantors, Cantavis. It's just over for them. Looks like there's plenty of time for another round of Bactals to be made. This very, very thin choke point is not where you want your units going. Shade is offered up. A frustration stage will complete soon. That's going to be the tier 3 of choice for Nebelheim. Another attempt with an Acantor and a Vagrant, but a Calculus is here to announce the presence of the transport vessel and heckle it around a little bit. Nebelheim actually hasn't paid too close attention. He will fly away now. Maybe see if he can clear that out. Big worker transfer. That's 14 workers sent over to this 3rd base, but Nebelheim's on 4. Nebelheim's on 4 bases. He hasn't saturated his fort just yet, though. Still looking pretty good for him, all told. That Calculus living on 1 HP is painful. Base number 4 taken on the low ground over here, so a symmetric base taken compared to base number 3 for Nebelheim. Pretty good number of ranged units here, not so good on the frontline department. So Nebelheim, his golems and such may have a good role to play here. Oh, he's trying to engage right in the face of the Acantors. Protoss Iquare! I love Iquare. Shout out Iquare one time. He mods Heroes of Might and Magic or something now. Hydras are looking good. Lyralisk still standing, absorbing projectiles as best they can. And now we've got a Pariah out on the field. It's going to make things a lot harder. Yeah, Iziracors are coming in now. Tetzoracors is coming in now. AOT does need time to rebuild all the units that he lost in that fight, however, and that includes a lot of Hydras. If he can get like 20 more Hydras out, I know he's only making 6 right now, maybe we can go somewhere with this build. I like the idea. But he also needs to saturate this base over here. His production seems to be lagging behind his income. Oh, I say that. He's got a lot of larvae that are spare. Said he's just going to make an Iral Iris here. The Cantor Vagrant coming in. There's some defense over here, but it's only the anti-air defense. Nothing to protect that 4th base as it's gestating. Going to go ahead and start navigating the army over. And look at that! The Vagrant and the Acantor make it to the natural and get some damage done as the workers start to evacuate. Small ground army here, drawing the entirety of AOT's attention away from everything else. He's going to make some Nathra cores. See if that will allow him to do what he needs to do. Down goes the Envoy. Vagrant will be destroyed. But I think the Larvosk may go down here. One more shot? Yeah! That's pretty good. That's as good as you could have really hoped for. After you got pinched there. Very, very cost-efficient drops. Rogue galleries to continue blocking pathways. Love it. Tier 2 now is complete for our Zerg, but his gas income is pretty low. He's reset his natural very quickly and started to work on the Vespene harvesting, at least in terms of the Geyser. I haven't seen him expand his yields at all. Yeah, no ridge caps in this game. You see that Nebelheim believes in them, at least in his 4th base and his main. And his okay, just his natural is missing. He mostly believes them. 6 o'clock now taken for base number 5, staying 1 step ahead of the Zerg. AOT believes in capping the geysers, and now remembers about the ridges. Maybe he played a lot of Brood War this game. You never know. Newtath Spire underway. I would love to see AOT go for some kind of raiding party. There's a lot of static defense everywhere, though, so mutas might not be the answer. The Shade is doing its best. Khaz'Trith detects, but not enough to kill the Witness outright. Yeah, this is a rare game where there's been no Ovoleths made by AOT. You know who I want to see more games out of? I want to see more games out of Hamster. Saturating the gases here in the Treasury base. This is going to really jumpstart Neblime's tech progression. He's already got the synthetic synods out, and he's adding a Demiurge to his arsenal. More will come from there. Static defense. Very open base. Pretty hard to constrain pathways with even things like grand libraries, let alone rogue galleries. And he can try to saturate the bottom left treasury as well. Situations like this don't concern me as much. Look at the Demiurge count, already up to 4. I think that the concern that you would have with those features is what they can do in the early game. We are well past that now. Khaz'Trith is here to try to support. A Pariah will go down shortly, but after getting a lot of damage dealt in the process, and you can see the stutter back. Neblime is not willing to allow his forces to be engaged upon so close to static defense. He wants to bleed the Zerg of everything that they currently have. A lot of Izira cores turning and being eliminated, but it still soaks up some of the DPS that should have been meant for Protoss scalps. There's some action happening elsewhere on the map, but it looks like AOT's defending it fine. He's just trying to hold the fort. Cycling back towards the static defense line. The Acantors are now exposed. This is an opportunity in theory, but not a whole lot of Zerg remain, and they're very, very wounded in the process. Look at that. Shellacked. That allows the rest of the Protoss army to step forward. One Protathalor does not a defense make. He's got a bunch of Izira cores that went over and ransacked the 8 o'clock area, but not able to get anything else done. Some more Protathalors are coming. The Khaz'Trith is falling. Sikralisks are here. Doesn't feel like they're a great choice into all of the Acantors. It feels like they clump up a little bit too much. And now reinforcements coming in from across the bridge. Neblime looks poised to close this game, dropping the 4th base, and in the process stealing some Zerg. GG. AOT with 5k resources in the bank at the end of that. Living up to his name, Art of Training, needs to definitely spend that money. Cool game, though. I like it. I dig it. I dig it. GG's all around. Oh, there's a guy named GL.HF who plays Zerg. And he's kind of new. And Shambler and him were doing some gaming. So I do, you know what, they just played a game. So I might as well take a look at it. I don't know who this guy is, but let's give him a time. Let's give him a moment. And that is, of course, on the latest version of the game. So I will quickly switch over to that. We've casted our fair bit of TVZ. Don't get me wrong. But why not do a little bit more? I don't know. Should I call him GLHF? He's called something else in the server. All right. What's his name? Thunder Slaps 2. All right, we'll call him that, even though his in-game name for Cosmonarchy was GLHF. Hey, pretty soon we're going to have Discord OAuth. Woohoo! Can't wait for that. Not immediately going to be a requirement, but that tells you. That tells you. All right, boys, let's go. Thunderslaps 2 in the bottom right as GLHF ID. He is an impossible color. Neon Carrot, there you go. Impossible is nothing. Shambler in the top right, the white Terran. This game was just played moments ago, it feels like. It seems like. Who are you? What is this? Severance? Shambleverance? Pool. Pool time. Random guy. I guess he's not wrong for now. Nah, I don't know. What? I love this. This is a mystery. Yes. Shambler is adding to the confusion, adding to the recipe. Going double stockade, fairly bog standard. You know, like you're up against somebody you don't recognize. Never met this guy on the ladder before. Wink, wink. Wink, wonk. With the pool done and a Larvosk on the way, this guy clearly knows a little bit about the game, so that's cool. But he's also reacting in a way that I don't think Shambler sees too often, is pulling all these workers away. It's very interesting. Kagrin on the way for our GLH effort. Will he give Shambler the Thunderslam is the question. A couple extra stockades. Could be in our Shamble future. He's not exactly building towards like an extra set of military or an expansion just yet, but the signs will be there soon. I think he's slowly amassing enough resources that that's what he's going to do. Maybe with this guy coming back home. Some Zethar cores are on the way out. And it looks like Thunderslaps is going to be given an expansion to us soon. No, and Shambler doesn't want to build his ministry just yet. Maybe he'll do it safely as opposed to on location. And here he comes. Here he comes. He is going to go down to the low ground. All the Mavericks in the high ground immediately sending these Zeths packing, and that will allow the ministry to begin. I like that Shambler didn't use the Wounded Mason for that, because that's asking for it to be sniped. Lag him up. Yeah! There must have been some lag. You know, that can be misinterpreted, Shambler. There is an expansion for Thunderslaps, but is he going to be able to hold is the question. He's got enough Zethar cores here that he could still make this somewhat competitive. I like that the Quads are kind of stepping forward before attacking so they can get a bunch of volleys off as the Mavericks fall away. I don't know. So far, I'm not displeased with the micro that I'm seeing. 4 pairs of Zeths are going to help make this hold a lot easier. He's even got some more already done, but obviously a little bit slow on the reaction there. Now I'm going to try to sink the spines into him. Six Mavericks are incoming. I don't know. I mean, Shambler is obviously going to be fine just dueling in the middle of the map. Where's the development from here, though? 10 workers, and one of them not mining. Kind of dire in the economics. But maybe Thunderslaps will just kind of flood out units faster than Shambler can. Remember, the production never really got enhanced, and now a lot of these Mavericks are very wounded. 4 more joining up. 7's a lot more threatening than 3, that's for sure. And you know, Stockades 3 and 4 are coming online. One of them in the natural. A Star Pad will be out soon for the Ant Seal, and I'll have to see whether or not more workers ever get made. Thunderslaps still not mining with... Oh, with a bunch of his workers. What happened here, dude? Hey, boss, you forgot a couple of your workers. Like, a lot of your workers. The Zets are still going to try to carve through. This whole time, Shambler has been scaling up his production as best that he can. Only a few... Oh, there's a lot more quads coming, and a lot more Zets as well. Hold on. Down goes that one before he can finish the stockade. Shambler, why'd you build it in your natural, goddammit? Lot of Mavs still here, but I don't know. He doesn't have any more in production. He forgot. He missed a cycle. This man's got 3 idle Droleths, and he's still maybe going to win. Thunderslaps continues the pain. You do not need resources as Zerg. You only need larva. All right, I mean, it doesn't really look like he's going to be able to convert it, but Shambler is floating a ton of money. spends down some of his stuff. Another Mason killed and interrupted. There you go. He could try to plug the holes in the wall. It kind of, to an extent, doesn't matter what the economic damage dealt to Shambler is, because we still don't have any harvesting going on here. Oh my god, he's still going for it. He'll actually kill that stockade at the very least. Now draining the Ancial energy as Zethicors attack Masons. Well, dialing back, he's just going to start maybe heckling from the side. I love the pressure he's putting on, that's for sure. That's really refreshing. Not enough Zergs do this, for my money. Oh my god. Well, it does feel like it's been held. It feels like that's the end of the pressure. Pulls another stim. We don't have a Vestry add-on, of course. But stabilization is beginning to occur, and that's when all of the constant pressure feels like, ah, damn, I didn't have it. He's still... Oh my god, he still has one that's still not mining even after his correction. That's so painful, dude. I wonder how long he's had that for. Like, he's also got 4 Zets or 2 Zets over here that are idle. I wonder how long that's been happening. And if he even knows that it's been so long. I think Shambler should be able to march across the map and finish the job now. Ain't no happening there. You can't break the Ancials, and you can't break 17 Mavericks with just the pool units. He's going to start a circuit, but I think it's a little too late. He's got so much Vespine this whole time. Hey, boss, play some more. I like the cut of your jib. You just got to be watching that mineral line a little bit more in times of strife. Because something happened. Shambler gets the victory, but I was really concerned for a second. GG. And that is it. That's a wrap. We'll have Sir Thunderslaps back on for more games after that, because that's some cool stuff. He's been playing against Shopdog. I don't even want to know what those games look like. But that was cool, man. That was really neat. I like to see a new player for the first time and, just be able to cast some of their early games. That's very cool. So, with all that said, we are done with the casting stream today. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back tomorrow. I don't know exactly when. I'll try to hit earlier in the day. But, yeah, GG's, and hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday. I'll see you guys tomorrow for some Tuesday Cosmonarchy, and we'll just get a little bit closer to that show match dono goal, because streamlabs.com/pronogo if you want to have DeWalt rejoin us for some more show matches among some other pros. $15 away from 2 players, and $20 on top of that will secure us a third. GG's. We'll be back later.